What the heck happened, Kyle?
They didn't show up. Next question. Yeah, so I think that was the very obvious theme from Maxey and Nurse, where Nurse immediately went to their lack of readiness, and you can guess all the various explanations for that. I did see the thumbnail for this show, so we're all on the same page. As you can imagine, when I'm able to get on a show 35 minutes into it, that indicates things were moving quickly, which also says that Joel Embiid was not here, but says a lot of guys are probably concerned with their flights and their post-game plans. I just think, look, some of it you have to give the Knicks credit for. They're in the same spot in terms of last game before the All-Star break. Back-to-back last night, and so they could have made excuses. They came in, they played hard. They're just running up and down the floor with more gusto. They also did, very notably, acquire somebody at the deadline who is playing for their team, who made 8 threes. So I was told that such things were not possible, that you couldn't get someone at the deadline who was an impact player. So while we can wait for a further judgment on that, certainly played a factor tonight. So, yeah, I mean, everything that could go wrong once you get in the hole, they're down, 50-30, probably like 18 minutes into the game. The game's over at that point. Nobody is locking in to the degree that it's going to require to turn that game around and win that game. The only person who didn't know that was Nick Nurse, who decided he was going to play VJ and Kelly and Dom until they were down 40-plus points, which I don't know if you guys discussed that at this point, but what the heck were they doing? Come on, man. The game was over at halftime. You could have put Chuck Bassey and Beauchamp and Dalen Terry and all those guys in. It would have made 0.0% difference.
No, I got called out. Somebody thought I was crazy when I said it was garbage time in the middle of the second quarter. No, it was garbage time starting in the middle. Speaking of players who change teams at the deadline that don't move the needle, did you see Ayo the other day?
I did. I also saw Jared scored 8 points in 75 seconds in their game tonight. So that was a fun thing to learn about in the media room. So
yeah,
I'll bring you guys some insight from the pressers, since that's
nice.
Ostensibly what I'm here for. So talked with Maxey a good bit about it. Seemed very clear that these guys and him need the All-Star break. And I know you guys were talking about VJ a little bit before I came on. And Maxey gave a pretty enlightening answer when I asked him about how did you adjust to this process of playing 82 and having to play a big role compared to, when you're in college, you have a big role, but it's like 30 games, 35 games, maybe on the high end. And then you get to the league and Tyrese is like, I only played like 12 minutes a game when I was a rookie. So second year is where it really caught up to me. And he said, you only have one body and you really got to take care of it. So it requires, the post-game treatment when you get home, after you get the post-game treatment, the rest, the recovery. And also, and this is a thing that applied to Tyrese that he says is certainly true with VJ, is sometimes you just got to not go in and shoot today. You have to understand, today's a day I do nothing, and understanding the value of doing nothing and what that can do for your legs, your mind, your body, just everything. And so I think he sounded excited, not just for himself once he's done with the All-Star stuff, but for VJ to get a little bit of downtime, because I think as he struggled to shoot for most of 2026, not all of that is because of tired legs, but at least a little bit of it is probably, this is the most games he's ever played in a year by far.
So, Kyle, what you're saying is I did absolutely nothing, and it was everything that I thought it could be.
So, to that
office space.
To that point, Derek, we were talking with some media folks and PR here in the press conference room as things were wrapping up. And Will, who we deal with pretty often here, said, yeah, I might do something over All-Star break. And I was like, yeah, I think we're all going to do something, but my something might just be nothing, because we all need this break to just decompress, relax, and then it's back to basketball in about 7 days. Is it exactly a week from today?
I think it's Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay, so it's all right, 19. So close enough.
It's a week
Derek
off.
knows.
Yeah.
Derek knows my days
You're
of
not
the
the
week
calendar
are,
guys. Yeah.
So what else is on your mind, fellas?
Yeah, I'm just curious. So what was the reasoning? I don't know if Nick Nurse talked about it. What was the reasoning for starting Bona tonight over Drummond? Was there just a matchup thing, or?
Yeah, so that did come up. I think it was mostly that he wanted Drummond matched up with Mitchell Robinson, and so it was a little bit of like, okay, a Dem can step out and guard on the perimeter a little bit more, at least like move on the perimeter. It doesn't mean that he's going to be effective out there because a lot of fouling when Adem's away from the basket. I also thought he struggled tonight, and the team struggled mightily with the trap and recover part of their scheme. I know Derek was
that was driving me nuts. They had two of them where they brought Towns man up to trap and left Maxey as a low man on the baseline to try to like deal with a rolling Towns. And look, Towns isn't the most physical player in the world, but he's 6'10" and big. What the heck is Tyrese Maxey gonna do?
Yeah, and like kudos to Tyrese for mostly getting there to try to take a charge at one point before Towns punched that one and got the M1. But yeah, like it also came up, speaking of that, I don't know that they should keep this scheme, the more aggressive scheme, when they're in these games with no Joel. There's no Paul until late March. Should you maybe skew a little bit more conservative, less help toward the middle, play a little bit more drop? I know Adem is not like the greatest drop center in the world, but like at least then the scheme has some consistency to it and you can settle into a little bit of a rhythm. I don't know that that's the salvo, but it was something that was definitely rattling around in my brain watching that game tonight.
Yeah. It was just tough to analyze that one because like the first two of the first three buckets of the game was like Kelly just falling asleep off ball.
Yep.
Like they weren't even scheme related. So like this was one where like it really did feel your tweet, what was it like 1-2-3 Cancun? Like that was that game almost to a T right from the jump. So this was a tough one to analyze. And I mean, they had like what they have, how many points in the paint did they have in the first quarter? Like 20? Something like that? It was absurd.
Too many.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest graphics of the entire year, our little monitors that we have courtside with the box scores and whatnot, was the part of it that says biggest leads. And it said Philadelphia 2, New York 52.
And that was what, 2-0, right?
Yes. So they were up 2-0, and then I believe never again, right? Or at least
I think that was it.
Never got above 2. So, boy, that summed up the night for me.
What do you make of VJ's struggles? Because it did seem like, on the one hand, he made 2 jumpers that I'm not sure I knew he had the capability of making. On the other hand, he couldn't make a gosh darn thing else outside of that. But I also thought he had some moments against Brunson where he stood him up and played pretty good defense. So it was really all over the place.
Yeah, I do think he was, to that point, one of the only guys who seemed like he cared about this game to some extent. Like the defensive reps against Brunson were very good. The shot is concerning at this point. I would say some of it is the fatigue factor. He's going to get a week off here other than the Rising Stars game, which I don't think should force him to expend a lot of energy, I wouldn't think. So I think the fatigue has set in a little bit, and getting some time off will help. I do think he's also a streaky player and a streaky shooter. That was true at Baylor. I don't think we were going to get through a whole season where he's just a back of the baseball card every night. He shoots 38% and he hits 38% of his threes. That'd be very difficult every game to hit exactly 38%, right? So, but just in the macro, you weren't expecting him to go through the whole year without a slump. This just is a pretty prolonged one. I don't think the mechanics have been pristine lately. Why that is, I'm not sure. Again, you can circle back to he's probably dealing with some fatigue, and so there are parts of it, whether it's the base, up top, whatever it might be, that are not working in conjunction the way they were earlier in the season. So maybe a little bit of a reset will help him, but he's got to find that form again, because they have a lot of these lineups where it's 2, even 3 guys who are questionable shooters on the floor together. And he's one of the guys who they need to shoot, because he is not one of those aforementioned guys. And if he's not making shots, that makes his life more difficult as a driver. It makes Tyrese Maxey's life more difficult as he's trying to attack the paint. Like, it creates a whole lot of problems. So whatever the fix is, the solution is, they need to find it, and they need to find it quickly.
Yes, sir.
Quick
Well,
question.
Kyle-
I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Nope, you go ahead. I was just
Go.
gonna say I don't have any more because I don't want to waste too much of Kyle's time, and I want to let him get home. Quite frankly.
No, just in general, Kyle. You know, for the fan, I want to speak for the fan. What's the schedule like for like All-Star Week? For like, because I know like a lot of guys go out of town. A lot of guys probably stay in town and work out. Like, or is everybody off until like Monday or Tuesday? I know the game's Thursday. The next game's Thursday. Like, how long are they off until they have to kind of get back into the rhythm?
It is coach to coach dependent. So some coaches are like, this will not surprise you at all. Doc Rivers wants to play a lot of golf and spend a lot of time not thinking about basketball on the break. So he might get one practice in with the guys the day before they're expected to play, and that could be it. I would, if I had to guess, maybe it's a return Tuesday, light day, Wednesday, real practice, Thursday they play. But don't quote me on that because I'm going to be just like a lot of you. I'm going to be waiting and seeing, and I'm going to have to check my email and see if I get the high sign from Sixers PR. That's going to be my indicator.